typically what we'll do is we'll work in kind of a kanban format. So you're just pulling off of a to-do list, and we have like a backlog of tasks that designs are ready for them. Developers are really comfortable with the scope of work. So it's a few weeks worth of work, and just work through that as quickly. Demoing to the client is very important so that we know, not necessarily giving the client the app to have on their phone, but just demoing, this is what we've done, just to get their feedback on, how, because a lot of times the designs, we just had a situation where our designs are always gorgeous, but sometimes you get them on a form factor, and the ability it doesn't always translate 100%. So sometimes you want to make tweaks. And so being able to demo that and getting that in front of clients early is great. And then, getting those in front of the users is even better quickly. So we'll build out a task list that everyone is very comfortable with the scope of work. The client is like, yes, this is what we want to release. And release doesn't mean it goes to the wild. That just means it goes to their user group. And then they go and they get feedback on that. And that could be weeks, could be months. It's like, that's totally up to the client. And then they'll come back to us with a new scope of work. Original contract, all of that has happened. The initial designs are done. So this process goes much faster than that first initial engagement with us, right? Like, because we already know, hopefully it wasn't a big miss. And we're just making like we're doing the next phase of features. And then we'll rescope that work and go down the same process. And we've already have a relationship that works. We've had a retrospective with the client. We know where we need to make adjustments, cadence maybe, or more or less, meetings in person, or, whatever that is. So it just makes for the relationship. It's like building on the relationship rather than starting brand new. Back in the old days, what we used to say is they'd come in and they'd have a bigger engagement with us. And then we'd say, oh, save 20-25% of the cost of the budget for maintenance and updates. And that was never, never does it really work that way or that well, right? Like what you need at the end is always a little bit more, because what you're shooting for at the very beginning is like, your adjustments are just that much more costly, right? Because you built everything at once, and then you're going back and making updates. Usually, not always, whatever. But typically that's kind of the old way we used to do it. And now we do it in like much smaller chunks.